welcome to another episode of Control Alt Access. It's a video game accessibility video and audio podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Laura. I am here as ever with my lovely co-host, Arevia. How are you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm doing fine. I'm officially now on vacation. So when you listen to this, I am somewhere in the world sipping something good and enjoying life with my Switch 2. And Laura, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm not on holiday, but a new console came out recently, so I'm playing a bunch of video games, and it's sunny outside, and it's early in the morning. I'm doing good today.
The Switch 2 is out. Shall we start there?
Yeah, let's start there, because it feels like we've been talking about this console for years, but the Switch 2 is out now. Do you want to share your thoughts first?
My thoughts is that, okay, so a bit sidestepped from accessibility. I know this console got a lot of flack for like existing at all. I see like as somebody who lives on TikTok, I see that a lot of people are angry and saying like it's just the same console, a bit upgraded, nobody wants to buy it, yada 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 yada. And I think this also shows that a lot of time I don't think us as consumers technically know how a market would work, or like how a market actually works, because I saw so many predict so many things and none of them has come true. Switch 2
there's been so much misinformation about the Switch 2, but it's the best-selling console of all time so far for its opening week. It's doing ridiculously well.
And like as I said a bit earlier, I think this is a scary good console because it has finally gone from Switch being a child's console for children's games that parents buy for their children because you can handheld it, you can put it on the TV, and you cannot destroy it. So you can give it to a kid, or you can give it to a kid, and the kid can have it, and it's okay. And then often when the kid is like 9 to 12, they go like, we want to play a lot more hardcore games. The parents go, okay, let's go PlayStation or Xbox. Now you can do all this on a Switch. This console is the first console I have seen that does what a PC is, that is growing with its person. And that's scary. That is scary. This, I don't know. We know what we have gotten in our hands yet.
It really does, like, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this as a criticism, I genuinely mean it as a compliment to it. It feels like a Switch Pro. It feels like a slightly more professional, slightly more aged up, slightly higher quality, another Switch.
Yes.
And I'm certainly not in the camp of people who are disappointed that it's not weirder and more changed from the Switch. It is the Switch, but better.
Yes.
And that's all I really needed it to be.
Yes.
And I've been very happy that it's that.
And what it has done better, because like I think people who were really against it, they technically don't want a Switch. They don't like what the Switch is. They don't like that we have a system where we can play Nintendo's game on. But the thing is that the people who like Nintendo games like often the Switch. So now having them just switch to new plus game Switch is actually good for a lot of us. Like, I am glad we did not go for a Wii U situation where you went so far away from what we regularly have that it will not be usable again.
Nintendo found a good thing, and for once didn't throw that good thing in the bin just because they felt like they needed to do something new, and I'm very happy for that.
And like console in itself, it is a lot of the same. Of course, it's more, it's better, it handles really good. Holy mackerel.
I like the magnets. The controller magnets feel really good.
They are easy to take off. I can do it all even when my hands are painful. It's not that heavy, so I can actually keep it up. Compared to my Steam Deck, where I need to have a pillow underneath my hands when I play because I don't have the strength to hold it up. I can actually hold this one up. And there is some settings I would what's that word again? When you say
that you would like to see?
I would like people to know about.
And
you
want to alert people
to. And that is like put on the stop charging at 90%. That I think
Yeah.
that one is good. It just saves the battery a bit. And also, do not make sure there is a setting that is like, I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's like an altering setting for the color scheme in the game.
Oh, is this the one for only turn on HDR if the game actually supports it?
Yes, this.
Don't try and add HDR to games that aren't
Yes,
HDR.
yes. Because if you do, I put it on always. Tried some of the older games, like because Nintendo Online, you can play 64 games, and that didn't look good. Then I took it off, and it looks good. And to be honest, the games look wonderful. Of course, though, if you didn't like the Switch, you won't like this.
Yeah, it is still fundamentally, you are getting something a bit less powerful than it might have been for the same money if you were only buying something that would connect to the TV, but the trade-off is it is something that you can play portably and put on the TV and go back and forth easily.
Yes.
And that is a thing that, like, for all of the PC gaming handhelds like the Steam Deck that exist, none of the competitors to the Switch have made it nearly as easy to go, I just put the thing down and now it's on my TV, and then I pick it up and now it's handheld.
Yes.
And that is still something that Nintendo really does own the market on.
And I have to say, though, with like, we're going to talk about it a bit later on, but also with upcoming news, I don't know if I would recommend buying a Switch only for having a handheld if you aren't going to play Nintendo games. I think there might be competition coming in the market, and also because the price of the Nintendo is quite steep. But like, if you like Nintendo games and you enjoyed your Switch, I think this can be worth it. But of course, it's easy for me to say when I have the means to buy one. I think also, as long as they still support the Switch, you can keep chugging on the Switch.
Yeah. If you're a portable-only player, what I would say for where I think it sits in that portable PC handheld space is it is very comparable visually to the Steam Deck. There are places where it outperforms the Steam Deck visually. You have, like, it is considerably easier. If you're someone that purchases a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally or something of that nature, you are going to inevitably have to boot up a game for the first time, particularly if it's a graphically intensive one, tweak around with the settings until you get it running stably. Yeah. There is something very appealing about the Switch 2. You put the Cyberpunk cartridge in, you have no download, and Cyberpunk runs at 30 FPS and runs there locked.
Yeah.
It is also... There are devices I could point out if you're a handheld-only person that will run games better than the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Those devices are also considerably more expensive. Like, if you look at something like the ROG Ally X, which I think is a great handheld, that is like £700 compared to the about 400 of the Switch 2.
Yeah.
The Switch 2 gets, like, impressive performance for its price point. So, like, there may be handhelds that might be more your thing if you are a handheld-only person and you have money to burn.
Yeah.
I think the Switch 2, it has a very comfortable position.
And also, what I like with the Switch 2, which I wish, like, every single console from today, and mobile phones, and everything I hold in my hand should have this, and that is that they have a charge port on the top and the bottom at the same time.
Yes!
Like,
yes.
Oh my god, I cannot tell you how annoying it is having my goddamn a Steam Deck sitting in my sofa, and since I need to have a pillow underneath my hands when playing it, and then it's like, oh yeah, I need to charge it. Oh well, I think that's top shot. Anyways, when you sit with something, you need to have something under, and then you cannot charge it. It's so annoying. And then just doing that simple, you have it on top and bottom, smart. Just everybody from now on do that.
Agreed. So yeah, should we talk a little bit about some of the accessibility stuff specific to it? Because we got some. I came up with some questions before this came out that I wanted to see Nintendo answer, and I've got answers to them. So we've got some stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
So we got accessibility information before the system launched, and one of the things they talked about was that we were getting text-to-speech narration for going around the menus. Mm-hmm. There was a couple of questions around that that I think are important. First one, can you set up text-to-speech narration if you need it as a sightless blind player without needing sighted assistance during the initial setup? The answer is no.
No.
You can't turn on text-to-speech until you've done, like, create your account, set up your Switch, get to the
Yeah.
home menu, go through the system menu. Best practice, if you have text-to-speech support, is turn it on by default when you first turn on the device. Give players the option to turn it off.
Yes.
This doesn't support that. The text-to-speech speed is really high. I was talking to someone who tried to estimate the fastest speed of text-to-speech, and they estimated it at around 400 words a minute, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I have seen though some people in the blind community wanting it to be even faster, because even though it is, I think it's now 300% you can put it up to. I have seen people say, like, even though when you're so used to listening to text to speech all the time, they would prefer to having at least up to 400.
Yeah. It is better than I think a lot of people expected, because like the expectation is usually text to speech is like often gets offered with only one default speed and no ability to change it, and it is good that it can change and it can go pretty high. But yeah, you will always find text-to-speech users who would rather it could go higher, which is fair.
And you have two voices, which I think it's enjoyable, because you can then, if you have a problem with low tones or high tones, you can just switch to the one that is most comfortable for you. I think that is a good thing.
I will know, I've seen people who aren't deaf who have gone, oh, why do text-to-speech voices still sound so robotic and not like human voices? We've got AI voice things that sound more like real voices. There is a great talk from GA Conf in London, I believe it was 2025, it might be 2024, talking about... Sorry, yeah, it was 2024's London GA Conf. Talking about text-to-speech voices and the different kinds that exist. There is a reason why the robotic type that is used here is used. It basically it stays understandable better at faster speeds than something that sounds more like a real human does. It is not because they can't be bothered to do something that sounds more human. It is because if you are speeding it up to that speed, it's going to be easier to pick out what the words are at speed if it's that way.
Yeah, it can be comparable to like when you read a book. It's easier to read a book on a font you're used to reading than all of a sudden going to read somebody handwritten cursive.
Yeah. And there are people, obviously there'll be people within that community who disagree on that, but that is generally the thinking. So there is a logic to why it is this way. Also of note, and this is really disappointing, the text-to-speech support is not supported in the eShop, meaning that if someone, gets Sighted Assistant to set up text-to-speech, they can navigate around the Switch, get to the eShop, but let's say they wanted to buy something like Brock the Investigator, a game that is on the Switch that is voice narrated, they wouldn't be able to navigate through the eShop, find the game, purchase it without Sighted Assistance. So hopefully it can get added there as well.
Yeah, and that hopefully will be an update, because that is a stupid oversight. Like, people are absolutely being independent is important, and if the independence only goes so far, it's not independence.
Yeah, exactly. It's if you have if you can navigate the system and there are games on the system that can be purchased that are accessible, you need a bridge between those.
Yes.
Other things on the eShop very quickly. At present, Nintendo does not have accessibility store tags on the eShop. That is kind of expected. I'd been a little hopeful given Nintendo's joining the Accessible Games Initiative. Apparently, it seems that everyone involved in that initiative is at some point planning to do accessibility store tags. So hopefully that means we will see it down the line from Nintendo, but it's not there at Switch 2 launch. The Hori Flex works on Switch 2. Yes! That's great. And this is the second time we've had a console generation launch with an accessibility controller that works day one.
Yes, and also the 8-bit Do Switch works. The other Switches that are a bit more buy on Amazon kind of Switches, I have not gotten them to work yet. They don't have any updates yet. I presume they will get updates soon.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Particularly of note, and I think this is a really interesting use case, if you have a USB-A to USB-C adapter, you can plug the Hori Flex into the top USB-C port on the Switch 2, so that if you were like, I don't know, you've got like a 5-hour train journey and you want to be able to like sit at a table and use your accessible gaming setup while playing in tabletop mode, you can do that. The HoriFlex works through the top USB-C port. Other things.
Yeah, you can now swear.
Yeah.
Nintendo let me
Yeah.
swear. I like that.
Yes. So, we have game chat now, which is the voice chat and video chat function at the Switch 2. And one of the options there is speech to text transcription.
Yeah.
So you get like an on-screen automated transcript of you and your friend's voice chat. It puts like your icon and name next to you so that you've got speaker names and things. And it transcribes swearing pretty well.
Yes, as it should.
Which is important. Like, I've had people ask me why that's an accessibility feature, and it you know, the obvious answer is, if a hearing person can hear you swear, a deaf person should be able to read the swearing.
Yeah.
Language is not accessible unless you make sure that words that you might not want people to use are still accessible. It's the reason why it's really important to make sure that people who use AAC devices have access to swear words. Even if you don't want your kid to swear, it's important that you're not, like, preventing them having access to language their peers might have. It's the same for this. Certain swear words in certain accents, Nintendo's automation finds harder to detect than others, but it recognizes fuck very easily. It never tried to turn it into duck. It was always like, nope, you're swearing, I get that, fuck.
And this ties up generally really, really well with disability history. There is have been an ongoing problem that is still a problem today, that people look at disabled people like angels and small kids that we need to protect on every cost because we are innocent, and that is not true. Disabled people are as horrible and menace as the rest of the society, and we should also be able to express that. We are not angels. We are not some little, oh, poor you, innocent little child. We are humans, which include flaws, and those flaws we should be able to express like everybody else. Not that swearing generally is a flaw, but if somebody has that thinking that swearing is a flaw, I don't give a fuck. Let's just put it like that.
If I lose in Mario Kart and I want my deaf friend to know that I insulted their mother quite viciously, they deserve to know. So yeah, other things, you can use Switch 1 controllers in most cases, even when playing Switch 2 games, as long as the Switch 2 games don't require mouse mode. So if you have, like, a one-handed Joy-Con grip for the Switch 1 Joy-Cons, you can use that while playing. You can't use the controller to wake up the console, so you'll need a Switch 2 controller of some kind to, like, wake it up from sleep mode. But you can use your Switch 1 controllers, like, you could play Mario Kart World. Yeah, you could use, if you've got a custom accessibility controller for Switch 1 that is fundamentally just a Switch 1 controller, it should work for, like, Mario Kart World or whatever, which is good.
Yeah.
Was that the end of my list? Let me scroll down. Yeah, I think that was the end of my big list. Did you have any other accessibility thoughts immediately you wanted to share on Switch 2?
The only thing is that, like, the only thing I haven't gotten to check out the text-to-speech to speech-to-text that much, and the reason for it is because Nintendo have, and this is a Nintendo problem, not a Switch 2 problem, is that if you have an Outlook email, which I have for my personal stuff, you cannot get the code sent to you. So I needed to make a whole new account. So, and I tried for Reddit. This has been a problem for like ongoing. The first post I found about it was 6 years ago, where your Hotmail or Outlook or anything just prevent you from getting mail from Nintendo. So I have had to abandon my old account because you need to have. And the thing is that if you have an account that is already email approved, so you already verified your email, I think that will be okay. But the problem is that I needed to verify my email again when I was going to put in my phone number, because you need a phone number to use those things.
Yeah.
The problem is that since my email, and there is nothing I can do, I have tried to put everything on the approved list. I've tried to do everything, and the last thing Nintendo said was, well, make a new email. And I've had to do that. And that is annoying because, like, there isn't technically any problem, because I can still play all my old stuff because it is on the same console, but it is that thing that I have had this account for so many years.
Yeah.
It is a minor, but I feel like this is peak Nintendo. Again, we see that big wall between the rest of the world and Japan, where like if the company is based in Japan, they don't talk to the rest of the world. And I see this has been an ongoing problem for 6 years and nothing have been done with it. And I can quite understand that nobody have cared before, because I haven't. I've had this account for so many years. I've never cared for getting it approved, but now I need to, and then I can't. So I needed to make a new one, which is okay. That's no problem, and you can have as many you want on the Switch. It's no problem technically. But that
it's
is
just
annoying.
it's just not nice.
No.
It's an inconvenience.
Yes, and it again shows the barriers between the consumer and Nintendo on a level we do not see with any other company in the game sphere. So
yeah,
it do be like that.
Yeah. So Switch 2 wise, I'm assuming you've been playing some Mario Kart World, I'm guessing.
Yes, a lot.
How have you been getting on with it?
I'm having a lot of fun with it. I have introduced my husband to it, and now I can't use my Switch because he is hog-tying it. Like, he's just like, this is mine. And I now keep sending him TikToks on how, like, speed run stats and how
all the shortcuts with wall running
and
people
like
are
light
doing.
characters versus heavy characters, and how many coins you need to get top speed, and like how that works and the calculation.
Oh, I was learning about that the other day. Like, light characters don't need as many coins to hit their max speed, and you should be using baby characters in this one blooper car.
Yes. So, no, it's been really fun. I enjoy this. I actually find this game to be a lot more fun than the Mario Kart 8. I do not know, though, for two reasons. It might be... I can't put my finger on why it is. I think either is it because I am sort of growing with the Mario Kart world because I've had it. When I bought my Switch when it had been out for 3 years or something.
Yeah.
So I just then, like, everybody was so good at Mario Kart. Then when I came into Mario Kart 8, it wasn't fun because everybody else knew everything and I had to start from scratch. And
all the people who were learning fresh had moved on, and all the people who were left were the really ridiculous people making TikTok compilations of shortcuts and things.
Yes. And now I feel like I am playing with the game. So there were so many new people in there, and you could see it on their scores.
Yeah.
But I find it to be really, really fun. I think it's nice to see we only have character and like car now. I know a lot of people wish we had more customization.
I agree with you.
But
yeah.
No, I think it's just easier to do it like this. And then the people who want to be sweaty gamers, like my husband, can just be that because they will figure that information out anyways in other ways.
If you wanna go look up the online spreadsheets where people have discovered that characters have secret hidden stats, and even vehicles that look like they have identical stats don't have identical stats because they're secret stats like air movement speed and water movement speed that they don't show you. You can find that info, but it's like, I pick a character, don't think about what its stats do, pick a car that maybe has stats I like, if I want to think that hard about it.
Yes, but I find it to be really easy. I have actually started using auto acceleration a lot, because since I don't have the new Pro controller, which I'm heard is a lot better because it has the back buttons.
It does, yes.
Which I really, really looking forward to try. I am struggling a bit because I haven't gotten my setup to work with my feet controller to work yet, so I'm struggling a bit to get it all to work together. So auto acceleration have done it so that I can continue play the game. That was something that was in Mario Kart 8 as well, but it actually works really, really well. On 150cc, it gets a bit more problem, but like as soon as you touch the controller, you override the auto acceleration. So it's not a problem if you want to have it like on and off. So I use that a lot, and I find it to be really easy. And the game itself is just ridiculously fun. The knockout tournament, it's so much fun.
It's so good, that constant tension of, I don't have to be the best, I just have to not be the 4 worst. And just doing that over and over again feels way more winnable than Be First does for some reason.
And it feels like I'm learning things about much better, because if I always do a single run and I'm always lost, it's just demotivating. But here it's just like, no, okay, this time I got kicked out first, but now I did 2 rounds, or now I did 4 rounds. Like I feel like there is another way of like keeping the motivation for keeping me doing it. And the open world, I wish it was a bit easier to understand how to get into the open world, but that is if you have Mario Kart World and haven't done the open world, do it. It's so much fun to do in that one.
The first time I was on the title screen and I realized how to get into the open world, and the title screen suddenly I was playing, I was like, oh, that's cool.
And like
suddenly the camera moved and I'm in control.
You can be Truck-kun, and you can you can do so many things. There is so many fun things that is sort of combining other games as well. Like I got some Kirby vibes sometimes playing it, and it is worth it. Just having fun. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I discovered how to get mirror mode literally last night, and there's a whole little cutscene for like canonically, oh, we're in mirror world, this is confusing, from the characters. It was very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of accessibility, you mentioned Auto Accelerate, which returns from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There's also Auto Steering. There's also a new feature, which is Auto Item, which automatically activates items or throws items at enemies for you, which is a new one for this. I really like this game. I really like this as a direction for the series. The connected tracks and the roads that sort of change the theme as you're sort of leaving one area and entering another are really nice.
Yeah.
It's very colourful and like cartoonish squash and stretch. It's a lovely game.
It's a lovely game, and it's well-made game. Like, this is not something they rushed. Like, every single part of this game is thought out. But again, this is a Mario Kart game. You buy what you know what you're getting. Like it.
Yeah.
Is they have not invented something cool new. It is a Mario Kart game, true and true.
Yeah.
The only thing with the Switch now, I see. We have talked about this for half an hour already.
I was just having a similar thought.
The only thing I want to say though is that yet I have not even used the mouse thing. I tested it for 2 minutes and went nice to show my husband. Never used it again.
I've been using it. The game I've used it most in is Civilization 7, which has a really nice port on Switch. This does a thing that so there are 2 games that I think are good and bad examples of mouse mode on Switch 2. Civilization is a great example, because any time while you're playing, you can just turn either your left or right Joy-Con on its side, and now it's a mouse. So you don't have to go into settings or anything, it just works. If you, let's say you're right-handed, your right hand is your mouse, so you've got left and right click. The right analog stick zooms the map in and out, and your left Joy-Con, you use the analog stick to move the map around. It feels great. It is such a natural control scheme for playing Civilization on your TV. The example of, like, mouse mode done badly is Cyberpunk 2077. That game only supports the mouse with your right hand. You can't be left-handed when doing mouse mode. It doesn't let you just put it down and now it's a mouse, you pick it up, now it's a controller. You have to go like 3 settings menus deep to change it to dedicated mouse mode. And then when it's in mouse mode, the analog stick is disabled, so you can't like pick it back up and start using the analog stick again. It's go into the settings, you're in the mouse mode, you stick in the mouse mode, you don't leave.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, it's... They're 2 ends of the spectrum for mouse mode right now.
Yeah.
Civilization, I think, is, like, the much better example of what it can do. But yeah, have you played anything else on Switch 2 that you particularly want to talk about?
No, as I said, I am not allowed to even use my Switch at the moment. Well, I am. But we have had a lot of fun with Mario Kart World, so we've kept that one. Yeah.
Well, my very quick run-through of stuff that would be relevant to the show, because I played too much stuff. I'm doing a bunch of articles for different websites. Backwards compatible Switch 1 games. There are Switch 1 games that have had like specific patches like Zelda and Pokemon to make them look better and run better, and those are great. I was really surprised at how well just regular Switch 1 games that didn't get a patch just work better on Switch 2. Um, there were examples like Zelda Age of Calamity that, like, they were a bit inconsistent in their frame rate, but now they just run at a locked frame rate. That's great. The example I wanted to bring up is I talked a while ago about 1000X Resist. Fantastic, really interesting game that made me really motion sick because the Switch port just had such an inconsistent low frame rate.
Yeah.
That has not had a patch. I play it on Switch 2. It runs at 30 frames a second stable now. I can play that without getting nearly as motion sick in the big area now.
It is just a show in general that the Switch 2 is just better, and it is a better hardware. They don't need to upgrade because the game already had the possibility. It was just limited by the Switch 1.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's why I don't feel like it's an insult to say it's a Switch Pro in some ways.
Yep.
Is your existing Switch games just kind of run better, and I hadn't expected that because they kept releasing spreadsheets before release being like, we're testing the games and these are the ones that don't work and we're working on everything. It made it seem like backwards compatibility was going to be kind of terrible.
Yep.
But no, games just kind of run better, and that's great.
Yep.
Anything else that's particularly notable? The only other thing I think is like pretty cool to talk about is game share, which you need to have put your phone number in and got the voice chat, game chat feature set up to do it. But there are certain games that you can play multiplayer if the other person doesn't own the game or doesn't have the game downloaded. If you're in voice chat with a friend, if you're playing something like Fast Fusion, which is like an F-Zero style, very fast futuristic racing game, and you're in a voice chat over the internet with a friend, you can just go, do you want to jump in and play multiplayer? And you send your Switch 2 generates 2 feeds, like it was doing split screen multiplayer, but full screen.
Yeah.
And it sends the video to the other player, and they send their inputs back to play. I was doing this with Fast Fusion is like a really fast-paced game with someone in New York, and I couldn't feel like input lag.
Oh, that's
it
really
felt
good.
like I was playing in the same room.
But that's really good because when I do that with Steam, I can't get Steam Remote Play to work. It is so laggy. It's so bad.
I was doing over Wi-Fi with someone in New York when I was like near London, and it worked. Like it didn't look as nice, but it was good enough looking to be like, I can totally tell what's going on, and like I can follow this, and it feels responsive, which is great for I didn't even have to download the game. I could just hop in.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's the big ones for those. Did you have any stuff you played this week that isn't Switch 2 that you want to talk about?
Well, I have a Switch game I played. No,
what did you?
No, Switch now. I played Fantasy Life. I think. Did you get to play it?
I haven't had a chance to yet. I have it downloaded, and I had too many other work deadlines this week.
Do we want to kick it over to the next week then? Both of us?
No, I mean, I'm if you want to talk about it, that's all good by me.
Because I have been in that world for like existing only in Fantasy Life. So Fantasy Life is the newest game in the series, The Girl Who Stole Time, and it is a Fantasy Life game, true and true. It's nothing new, and it's still lovely. Fantasy Life is a game where you get sent into a world. It is this typical chibi character kind of look-alike game where you have lives, and lives are like your what do we call it, your class,
like your job system.
Your job system. So you can be like a farmer, an alchemist, an artist, a blacksmith, a hunter, a paladin, magician, and so on and so on. I think it's 12 jobs in total, and you can have all of these jobs at the same time, which means that you pick a job. Like I started up with wood cutting, pick that job, and now every time I go over to a tree and I press that tree, I change automatically over to wood cutting job. And it's also a multiplayer game. So say I have a friend that comes over that knows how to cook really, really well, and I want to cook something, they can join my team and cook, and then my stats get added onto their stats. So I don't know if it actually gets added on, but we get better stats together. So you can play together. It's really fun. It has a story. Do I actually care that much about the story? No. These are the games that for me is like, story is just there to keep me progressing from new places too quick, and I only care about the jobs. The story is technically that you get sent back and forward in time, so you have 3 time ways you're doing. You have like prehistoric time, where you have all your jobs. Then you have present, where you're finding a mystery within the same place as the prehistoric place inside the crater. And then you have sort of a second dimension, where which is just a big plane where you can go and do fun things and challenges and fight and do a lot of things. It's sort of just a plane of have fun, try out all your different stuff. The thing about this game is that it almost have no accessibility. It is a game that you don't like. When you are a woodcutter, you need to press A million times to be able to cut down a tree if you are weak. If you're strong, of course, that goes in one hit, but then you need to build up to that. I'm missing a lot of accessibility in general in this game. The only thing is that this is a game that is so slow pace. That is why I like it, because I can run into a fight, and if I just don't want it, I just run away. There's nothing else to say. If I don't like something, you can just stop it. You don't get penalties, you don't get anything. And now you can build your own farm, you can have your own community. So it's almost taking in like Animal Crossing parts in like today's world, in your like present world. So then you can do a lot of stuff. You can just do anything you want in your pace. And somebody even said that it feels like almost 3 different games set into one game. It's huge. I've played it for like hours upon hours. I'm not even yet close to be done. And it is a game that, even though what choices you make with which jobs you go, you can take all the jobs. You can just take them all in the start if you want to. But no matter what jobs you choose, you can still do progression in the game. The only thing I have to say though, if you played Fantasy Life before, you know that when you do these artist or baker and those kinds of jobs, you often get a workbench, which is split into 3, so it's 3 actions. So one, say you're stirring something, one you're cutting something, and one you are like making a dough. Before, it was always like, when you stir something, you only do the stir action there. When you cut something, you only do the cut action. And when you like did the dough, you only hold it in. So you either hold it in, rapidly press, or stirred your joystick. Now in this one, and I've seen a lot of people having problems with that, especially if you have lower mobility, is that you can get the stir action or the hold action or the rapidly press action whichever station you're at, whichever part of your station you're at, making everything a lot more complicated. This has prevented a lot of people to be able to progress a lot, or they have to do a lot of the more boring stuff to slowly progress levels to be able to have enough levels to be able to do harder things. And I think that is a bit bad. Like, it is just taxing. It sort of feels now more like a quick time event thing. I'm able to do it, but it do stress me out, and it puts a lot of strain on my hands. Luckily though, since this is a split game where you can both do Steam and Nintendo, you can play it on your Steam account and then go and play it on your Switch the day after, and they link. So I have both played it like on my Switch and everything like that, and then when I need a break with my hands, I go on my PC and do my feet controllers. So
that's nice. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, but all in all, yeah. I also did check out Dune. I had a sponsor stream with Dune. That is fun though. That is one of the most accessible games in this genre I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and it is, but they have like some so disappointing thing, Laura, that I am just like, it shadows a bit over all the positive things, because they are doing the cardinal sin of starting the story before you get access to the settings.
Hmm.
So when you jump into the game the first time, it tells you that this is sort of the same story as in the movies, but it's in parallel universe where Paul, whatever his name is, does not exist. So it
Yeah.
is a parallel story. Keep in mind though that this video in the start do have large font, large text, so it is text, and it has large white text with like black outstrokes. But I just get annoyed that we can't like access a setting menu, especially when the setting menu is so large and in charge. They have the most things you can even imagine. They have like take away, rumble, blurring, shaking of the screen. You can do FOV as much as you want. You can do mouse up and down and like sensitivity. You can do so many things. But that thing, and that sometimes they do fade to white, which is like extremely harsh on your eyes. Those things do overshadow all the positive things. In general, though, if you like this kind of genre, which I can't remember what that genre is called right now, it's like Ark and all of those games.
Like survival crafting?
Yeah, survival crafting exploration game. And it's going to be,
Yeah.
but I actually did a Blue Sky post about all of this, all of the positive and negative things, and I typed it out really, really cool, really, really long. And the developers did reach out to me and say, hey, this is a live service game. Thank you so much for this. We will have that in mind because since it is live service, it will get updates. The controller, they do have controller support, but it's not implemented 100%. But they did tell me that before I started the game. Which I mean is that the controller works, you can use the controller, but the inputs aren't always on screen and sometimes you need to access the keyboard no matter what you do. I asked them about it and they told me that the controller will be 100% implemented before this goes on to be a console game because right now it's only a PC game. But in general, it's cool. They have done some really cool things, like because it is a live service game, the lot or like where you play with a lot of other people, technically an MMO, you need to have text rolling. You can't pause things. But what I've done to make sure if you read a bit slow is that you have the text line of things that are happening right now, and then if you miss something, the previous text is still on screen. It's just a bit more opaque, or yeah. So it's still on text. So they've done a lot of cool things. You always have button and press whatever you do. The tutorial are extremely well done. You have a journal system so you can see what you need to do. You are never lost in that. And also with live system, if you have any problem, please let the developers know. Like, please just tweet at them. Please just send them a mail. They are really, really into wanting. They have an accessibility team, and I want to let people be able to get their voices heard in the upgrades that will come in the game. So yeah.
I played a couple of other things I can very quickly touch on. I played one demo out of Summer Games Fest, and we'll talk about Summer Games Fest probably in a minute, but I played a demo for a Devolver game called Ball Pit, or Ball X Pit.
Yeah.
You know Breakout, the game with the ball and the paddle, and you bounce the ball around trying to break the bricks at the top of the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if that was a Vampire Survivors style, visually overstimulating roguelike?
I like
where
that.
all of the bricks you're trying to break are enemies coming down from the top of the screen. You don't have to worry about, like, catching the balls when they bounce back. You're just, like, firing the balls to bounce around to break the sort of enemy bricks. And then in between runs, there is a farming section, and you have to fire your farmers like they're the balls that you would be firing in Breakout to try and get them to go through the squares you want them to harvest.
Yeah.
It's charming, it's funny, it's weirdly engaging. I'm pretty into it. It's the one demo I've so far made time to check out properly from Summer Games Fest, and I really enjoyed it. Squeakross is out, which is Picross but with cute little mice. And I bring this up mainly to go, this is my wife's first game credited as an accessibility consultant.
Oh my god, congratulations!
I wanna just have a little cheer for her because
Yes.
she finds numbers hard to do in her brain, and this is a game that requires numbers because if you've never played a Picross before, you're trying to make a picture and you have a grid that's essentially telling you like this column has like a section somewhere down this row. 3 squares will be filled in, then somewhere else 5 squares will be filled in, and you've got like rows and columns telling you that, and you're trying to work out like, oh, okay, that means I can fill in this space. And this was the thing through Easy Surf, which we do accessibility work through. They were looking for someone who found numbers hard, and my wife was available, so she's done her first accessibility consulting, and I want to tell people to check that game out.
That is amazing.
And I played a very silly game that I want to talk about. I've been playing a dating sim called Date Everything.
Yeah, we have talked about that one before.
Yeah, I think I talked about it a little bit back at Gamescom last year,
Yes.
but it's the full game is out now. It is a game where you're in a house and you get special magic glasses, and they make all of the things in your house be living inanimate objects. They're now people, and I've been playing that game, and it's so charming in its writing. I had an emotion, like a multiple day long, very emotional storyline with my bed, who, like, she's been having a years long unrequited love story where she's like, we sleep together every night, but I feel like I'm the only one that thinks that's special, and like, can we talk through our feelings on that? I keep interacting with the coat there's like 5 hangers in the cupboard that are a group of adrenaline junkies, all called Hank, looking for like extreme sports to do in the house. Sponsored by Red Bull. Not anything else that might sound like.
No, nothing.
A company that sponsors extreme sports athletes and maybe isn't too careful about the health and safety of those athletes. Definitely don't confuse Red Bull for anything else. Maybe my favorite thing is that the fire in the fireplace is called Dante, and initially I was like, oh, like Dante's Inferno, flames, that's cute. And then I realized, I was like, why do I know this voice actor who's playing Dante from somewhere? He's the voice of Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender, whose name is Dante Bosco.
Ah, there we go.
I was like, oh, it's Dante is playing Dante the Fire. That game is really, really silly and very well written, and I just wanted to point people towards it in case they weren't aware of it. It's out now, and it's pretty cool.
It is sort of a show where like sometimes you just need to give writers the space to write, to like make things, to be silly. This is what they do. This is what they know to do, and then you get things like this, and oof. Kudos to those writers. I've seen a lot of clips from that game, and it's so hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Should we talk a little bit about news before we wrap up?
Yeah. There are news or Summer Game Fest, but there sort of goes a bit hand in hand. But we can start with Steam users can now search by accessibility tags.
Yeah, the developers have had access to these accessibility tags for a little while. We talked about them a couple of weeks ago. It is a shame that they're not using the standardized language of the Accessible Games Initiative. We've talked about that, but it's been great that for a while developers have had very clear guidance on what this system wants you to, whether you should click yes or no to put these tags on your games, and players can now see them. So if you have accessibility needs that you have, you can look for games that have the things you need, and that's great.
Yes, we like that. I think that is a good update, but also with the caveat of we need to give it time to see how this will go with the other initiatives going on in the industry.
I think, regardless of any critiques, this is a positive step forward, and I'm really glad it's there.
Absolutely.
We also have, I'm disappointed at you, games industry, a little bit disappointed in you. I watched all of the Summer Games Fest conferences this year.
Yes.
Not one mention of accessibility in any of the showcases other than, we'll get to AA in a second, but like, not a single one. And like, you know, Ubisoft didn't do a thing this year. Usually they'd be where
Yeah.
I'd be looking. Xbox didn't mention anything. They mentioned like one thing last year about Call of Duty. Um, do
No,
better, industry. You know to do,
yes.
you can do it. Just do it.
I was watching it with like a stream, the Xbox and PC one, and then the only positive thing I can come from it, sort of, was that they did say things that are, they talked about things that are accessibility, but they didn't point it to be accessibility, which I think, like, I'm glad to see that people are catching on, because both the
Yeah,
streamers and the chat went, "Oh, that's actually brilliant for accessibility." Uh,
yeah.
but hey, we can
We
still, like,
we're
accessibility is not a
we're
bad
dancing in
word.
the we're dancing in the space, but like it's been so
Yeah,
many like we're at a point now where like years ago, I think in like 2020 we got that state of play for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where it's like, oh, you took like 5 seconds to show the accessibility menus, and like it was such an
yeah.
easy thing that didn't slow down your presentation. I'm really surprised that the industry still isn't doing that during Summer Games Fest, but
It is a
that's
bit
okay because we
just
have the
the,
AA Summer Showcase.
yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah. We have that. We have that. So at least we have something. We have the
uh,
best of the best combined in one place. That's the important
uh,
part.
I'm very happy with this year's Summer Showcase. I want to give a couple of shout outs very quickly for anyone who didn't see it. Go see it. Go watch it.
Mhm.
Um, for some games that I was particularly like, I want to shout these out. Um, Chroma Gun 2 is a game about it's kind
Yes.
of like Portal if you had a gun that shot paint at the walls. Um, but it has a system for different colors that different colors have different symbols, and when you mix colors, it creates a new symbol that is mixing the two symbols. So, like, red is a circle, blue is a line, purple is a circle with a line in
Yeah.
the middle,
Yep.
and it's like that's a great system. Um, Soul Blaze is a Pokemon style RPG with sort of branching path roguelike elements that can be played completely without sighted assistance. That's super cool. I'm going to scroll through. You talked about Sunlight,
Yeah.
which is a Norwegian developed game about wandering around in the woods collecting flowers and being meditative that has sightless blind accessibility. Um, Cairn. This is one of the big indies that we had. This is a game about climbing mountains,
Yep.
and there's a bunch of features, but the big one that's exciting to me is there's a rewind feature. So if you accidentally fall way down the mountain, you can rewind and be back up the mountain.
Did you see that they actually posted their, like, trailer, accessibility trailer on TikTok as well?
I
And
did,
yeah, they got a
yeah,
lot of people interested. So, like, listen to this, game developers. If you can actually
yeah,
use this in your promotion of your game.
exactly. It's almost like that's a good way to get people interested in your game.
Yes.
Yeah, Blow Up is like a very fast-paced, like a Wolfenstein type shooter that has like high contrast mode and a bunch of visual settings that are really nice. Coming Home is sort of imagine what if Five Nights at Freddy's, but you could walk around the room that your computer is in. So you're like tracking things on the computer, but also like, oh, I'm going to stick a chair under the door to stop it opening, and that has things like high contrast mode. But it also has, and this is one I haven't seen elsewhere, a volume slider for jump scare audio. So you can
That's
turn down jump scare noises
that's cool.
specifically. And we had something called Intropology, which is a piece of interactive theatre that is performed over the internet that you can do like voting on choices like you would in a
Improv theater.
uh yeah, in one of those like choice based games, but it's with real actors over the internet, which is like a really interesting idea. I think it's very cool. So yeah, check out this year's AA Summer Showcase.
Yes.
Go watch it. Go do it.
I think the
Uh,
other big things that got really released, not released, revealed during the AA Summer Case was actually one controller and one controller. So
mm,
PlayStation pushed out their new Fight Stick, or it's
yes,
called, was it Project Revive or something?
I
Uh,
will find out.
yeah. I should know because I made a TikTok about it. But they have then the same as they did with the accessibility controller.
Project Defiant.
Project Defiant, there we go. Yeah, the same they did with the access controller, where they tell the audience about it before it's actually completely done. So we don't have a name for it, but it is now called the flight stick, or fight is not flight. Fight stick. I have said flight stick too many times. Fight stick, which is a typical UC arcade used in fighting games. What this can do is that you have one joystick and then you have, I think it was 7 buttons. And then you can just play this more traditional horizontal fighting games. You get to have the fight stick in a sleeve. It comes with a sleeve, so you can take it with you wherever you go. Oh my god! But you can also have like gates for the joystick. So if you have a game that you can either have it open so that you can turn wherever you want, but if you have a game that only lets you go up, left, and right, you can put in a triangle. So then those are the only 3 ways you can make the joystick go, or one that goes back and forth.
Yes, and I wish this was a thing more widely available.
Yes.
I would love if games that only had 4 readable directions, I could make my regular controller only go in 4 directions on the analog stick. That would be great.
And it also can be connected both to the PlayStation and to PC, which is that it will be connected variously, no problem like that if you wanted, but it will also have a USB connection if you need that, which is they're like hope for low latency. There will also be a touchpad on it, but how it looks right now, I don't know where they will fit it without it being in a way for your wrists when you're playing with it. But for me, I see this as a huge accessibility win, and I tweeted out like, oh my god, did they just release an accessibility controller? And the reason why I said that is because when I travel around and do all my accessibility equipment showcase stuff, a lot of people actually do use standard arcade, which is this typical arcade equipment to be able to do for accessibility. One, because often they can handle a bit more if you have spasms and if you have some things that make your hand twitch a bit more. They are stationary in front of you, flat in front of you, so you can use it and you can lay your hands up on top of it, which I really like, since I, after all, play a lot of games with my controller laying on top of my desk, not holding it up. And it's easier to just maneuver games like this. So
it's very similar in the appeal it has to something like the PlayStation Access controller, but for me, other than I will need a second analog stick. Like in my situation, I will probably PlayStation Access controller for the other analog stick.
Yeah,
this I think is preferable to the Access controller for me.
Yeah,
in that it has a very clear place to rest my hand.
Yes, I cannot...
without feeling like I need to hover over buttons.
I cannot use the Access controller with my hands.
I can use it, but I've never gotten it. Like, the only way I can get the Access controller to feel useful for me is taking half the buttons off the bottom of it and not mapping those buttons, so I have somewhere to rest my wrist. And that is kind of antithetical to what I need that device to do. But this, I can just rest my hand on a flat, empty space when using my buttons. That's great.
And that's the thing with the Access controller, because it's actually quite high and quite small. The steepness on how you have to hold up your arm, even though if you do not have any buttons there, is that it's so steep that it's just painful on your wrist if you have any wrist problems like I do. Which it will be a long sweep where you can rest your arm, so you can rest your arm, your elbow, and your shoulder. And also, but then again, I am scared, where will the touchpad come in? Because can I then not rest it as comfortable as what I think now? We also have not seen the backside of it, so we don't know if it will have expansion ports. Expansion ports. I do not think so. But I hope so. I will keep on hoping until the day I get it in my hands.
If it could, and I could plug a second stick into it, this might become the new thing that I recommend that I would want to use
Yeah.
for as my controller.
Because
Yeah.
if I could have this and then have it to go down to buttons with my feet so I can still play feet controllers, if it had
Yeah.
4 expansion ports, I am sold. This is my new accessibility controller. Hands
Right.
down.
It could do it pretty easily. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I hope, like, I made a TikTok about it, a LinkedIn post, and all other posts wherever you are. If you come across my post about it, and I don't often ask people to do this, but can you share it? Can you actually push it? Because to get to the right people, it needs to have some sort of traction. And I really, really hope it can be pushed out to people going, yeah, this is cool. Because as I said, we haven't seen the backside of it yet. This is not a done project. There are maybe possibilities that we can push them to getting expansion ports. And oh my god, if that were the reality, I would be so happy.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, and there's one other thing which I'm guessing is the Xbox handheld you want to talk about.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is like a weird situation to talk about. So this kind of got leaked a little while ago and got announced during Xbox's showcase recently, and I've seen a lot of people misunderstanding what this is because they didn't really give much information during the Xbox showcase, and I've seen a lot of people going like, the next Xbox is a handheld.
No.
I can play all of my console Xbox games on this handheld. That is not what this is. So the ROG Ally Xbox edition, what is the name of it?
Xbox X Ally.
Sorry, yes, the ROG Xbox Ally X and the ROG Xbox Ally are two Windows PC gaming handhelds of varying specs.
Yes.
And they're both they both have they have an Xbox button on them, and they have seemingly a special version of Windows that has less of the regular operating system stuff that you would use if you were using it as a desktop, and is more focused on the gaming experience. So you will have an Xbox menu that shows you your Xbox games, your Steam games in a launcher rather than having to use a desktop view. But it is fundamentally going to be a PC gaming handheld.
Yes.
And I want to give people where to put their expectations for this, and I think that's pretty easy to do. The ROG Xbox Ally is about the same specs as the Steam Deck. We have to assume probably about the same price. It will play PC games, not Xbox games, meaning that anything first party that has a PC version maybe will be okay. You won't be able to play your backward compatible Xbox library on it. You won't automatically get Xbox Store versions of third party games that you bought on Xbox. There is a more powerful one that is being sold as this is the one that will play AAA Xbox games at really good settings, the ROG Xbox Ally X. I would tell people to brace themselves for price on that one.
Yes.
Because they've talked about the specs. It is more powerful than the current ROG Ally X that doesn't have Xbox in the name.
Expensive.
I looked it up. I said earlier in the show it was £700. I underestimated that. It's £800.
Yes.
The ROG Ally X is £800. The ROG Xbox Ally X is more powerful quite considerably. I would expect that more powerful ROG Ally Xbox thing to probably cross £1,000. I wouldn't be surprised. 900 to 1,000 feels right.
I am really looking forward to this one though, because I used my Steam Deck a lot, a lot. But there is two things that I am missing from my library of what I do. Is that I have an Xbox and I use it, but I mostly play on my PC. But I, to this day, before I got the Switch technically also though, I don't have anything to play while I'm in bed, while I'm in hospital, while I am other places than with my PC that I can
Yeah.
connect accessibility controllers with.
Yeah.
This being hopefully an Xbox thing, we don't know yet, that I can use my accessibility stuff with it. Because I have the Steam Deck, I cannot, for the life of me, get any of my accessibility controllers to work with it because it's based in the background on Linux. And Linux is good for a lot of things, but it's not good to be easy. Linux is not made for you to click and play. It is made for you to know what you're doing, and I don't know that. So I have seen a lot of people putting out, like, I've tried all of the YouTube to tell you how to do it and like how you get into the background of the Steam Deck and all of that jazz. Won't be able to do it. Like I just can't figure it out. I'm missing buttons and I'm missing like things to press. And also, even though how much I love the Steam Deck, it is clunky. And when it does not work, especially when you need to get up like a keyboard, it struggles. It also have low battery capacity. So I'm looking forward to this, especially with the fact that Xbox is evolved. They are to the degree evolved that they have now a button, not only the Xbox button, but if you press the Xbox button on the thing, Xbox storefront will pop up. And with them being so involved and their ode to accessibility, I have high hopes for this. But then again, price.
We'll see. It's in terms of accessibility peripherals, I would expect this to work in as much as the current Windows-based PC handhelds will work with accessibility controllers just fine because it's Windows. Like the existing ROG Ally X, the Lenovo Legion Go, anything like that is Windows-based recognizes PC accessibility peripherals just fine. I think the big thing is going to be price and whether this re-optimized version of Windows is particularly beneficial. What I can say is there already exist PC gaming handhelds that are Windows based and are more powerful than the Steam Deck. This is another one in that realm.
Yeah.
It's basically a question of where are you going to fit price-wise between presumably Lenovo Legion Go, ROG Ally X, somewhere in that space. And where on that spectrum are you?
And but one thing I also think that is good, and that is that because now it is an Xbox thing, I think it actually will be easier for people who aren't as into gaming to get a hold of this and understand what this is. Because I saw a lot of people going like, oh, there is a handheld, and then people commented underneath going like, but that already exists, and they went, oh, I did not even know that. Because there is the masses of gamers don't have a lot of the knowledge about actually all the things that is out there, which I think maybe this can help with Xbox having their name on it, and hopefully will push it. We will see.
I think that could be a double-edged sword. Like very, very quickly. The Steam Deck is the best-selling of the like PC gaming handhelds right now. The Switch 2 in its first 4 days outsold the lifetime sales of the Steam Deck.
Yes.
The Steam Deck has sold about 3.5 million units lifetime. The Switch 2 sold that in 4 days.
And that
what
is...
I will...
Yeah.
But my point I'll get to is, yes, you might find more success putting an Xbox logo and presenting this thing as an Xbox. Might get more people to buy it. But is that going to be an audience of people who understand what it is they're buying? I don't think it's necessarily, beneficial that Xbox has been so just, this is a handheld Xbox, and that's their messaging. Because, I think, as someone who is a user of these kind of PC handhelds, I think that you can really sell someone on what that kind of experience is this way.
Yeah, I think I have the opposite view of that. That is, what actually people want, because I've seen a lot of people that don't want to buy Switch because what they play is PC games and they can't get their PC games on the Switch, but now they can, sort of. And especially with Xbox Game Pass, because that is also something people are missing on a handheld. Of course, you have already, again, price. It has a lot to do with price. Where will they put themselves? If they are in the, for the Norwegian standards, so the 10,000, the 100 pounds.
Yeah.
No, £1,000.
Yeah.
I think it will be ridiculous, and I don't think people will buy it.
Yeah, it's from my guess, knowing ROG and how they price things. I think your two options will be one that is about the price of the Switch 2
Yeah.
and is about Steam Deck in performance, maybe a little less looking at the specs. That really is not like designed for playing like big AAA games at like more than 30 FPS, or you will have the top end option that I'm going to guess is about 2.5 times the price of the Switch 2, and that's going to be a lot to ask.
Yeah.
And
we already
I
see
don't think there's not a market for that. I think that I don't think it's going to be. This is going to be selling millions out the gate.
But
it'll be a niche thing for the people who it fits for.
I am curious though, because I do like. No, I think it will be expensive, and I think it is too expensive. But the thing is that a lot of people said the Switch 2 wouldn't sell because it was so expensive, and now it sold like it's fresh bread. And I don't think I don't want it to be like this, but I don't think people are not willing to use as much money as I don't want them to do. Does that even make sense?
Oh no, it makes sense. I think my only response to that would be having looked at like the sales data for the current ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X, the ROG Ally X is not that much more expensive than the ROG Ally, and you get way better performance for not that much more money. But it went over the £500 mark, and like way fewer people buy it.
Yeah,
because there is a mental barrier that when you go above that amount, where it's like, oh, that's. You start getting into the category of like that's like a month's rent.
Yes,
and like it starts to get kind of scary numbers.
And that is why I'm wondering if Xbox, the same way that Nintendo are able to pull people to do things we don't see if Xbox will be the same. But we don't know though. And also with Nintendo having a lot of games upcoming that we will also see on the Xbox and PlayStation and stuff, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, like, I say this all as someone who is a big, avid believer in PC handhelds. I own multiple of them. I am very much the person who's like, I want to play games that are on PC. I don't want to sit at my computer to play them. I want to be able to be somewhere that isn't the place I mentally associate with work.
Yes.
I am the market for these kind of devices, and I recognize that, like, I can look at this and go, I totally see the use case for it, and also recognize I don't think it's going to sell that well. Yeah. But that's, maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe the Xbox name will carry it through.
Who knows what happens, because I am still shocked of the Nintendo numbers. I thought it would going to sell well. I did not think it would going to sell this well.
The main thing, I think, is the people were underestimating with the Switch 2 is Mario Kart is by far the best-selling franchise Nintendo has, and having one on launch day really fucking sells systems.
Yes.
I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was a deluxe re-release of an 8-year-old game at that point, sold like 70 million copies on Switch, on the first Switch. Like, that series sells so well.
And Nintendo is a powerhouse. No matter how much people love it, no matter how much people hate it, it is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, there we go. That was a slightly longer than planned episode, but I think it makes sense. It's new console launch week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, there is so much fun happening, and I can't wait. But Laura, where can people find you?
I can be found at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere on the internet. You can read some of my thoughts about the Switch 2 over on mmorpg.com. I wrote some stuff over there. Go to youtube.com/LauraKBuzz if you want to watch the Accessibility Summer Showcase 2025. There's a lovely write-up on The Verge. There's a really nice write-up on Can I Play That? Thank you very much to both of them for their lovely write-ups. Just go check out the Accessibility Summer Showcase and all of my Switch 2 coverage that's all up on YouTube. What about you, Arevia? Where are you at on the internet?
I am everywhere under the name Arevia, except TikTok, because somebody stole my name there. I am Arevia Gaming. If you want bite-size accessibility information to learn things new and to expand your knowledge about accessibility, go there, go to TikTok and Instagram, and I post every third day with new information. So yeah.
Yay! Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.